Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Is Tim on? He's the
Well,
one that,
I'm guessing he's city committee that's still trying to connect to audio. I
okay.
believe he was the one setting it up, so. Technical difficulties. Fab is having a hard time connecting to audio also. Looks like it's just you and I for now.
I noticed that it was saying that the meeting was being recorded. I didn't know if that's going to be, I thought we decided that was because then we have to post that, but which is not a problem, I guess.
I'm not sure how that works. I think if it's through the city site, I don't know if it just records it automatically or through the city Zoom account.
Yeah, I would think it would be consistent with how they did that. So did you get a lot of work done in the yard?
Me? No. I ended up going for a mountain bike ride that day instead. There's still a pile of leaves and sticks under the snow in the backyard now, so.
That's okay. They'll be there in the spring.
Hopefully they'll stay buried by the snow for the next few months.
Just a couple text messages from Tim. Yes, is someone else signed in as committee? Is anyone else signed in as committee? Tim's having technical difficulties. I asked because he wasn't starting, and his question is, someone else signed in as committee? And I guess I would say, no, don't think so.
Not me. Oh, you know what? It might be me because I'm logging in from my work computer.
It has your name though. It
Oh,
says Nicholas instead of city committee.
oh yeah.
The only concern would be if there's another committee meeting right now that's using the
I don't think so.
Zoom account. I think that's happened before with.
Hello.
Hey, there he is. We hear you.
Okay, very good.
Hi. Sorry. I was trying to log in and it just wasn't happening.
Huh. I wonder because everyone else was able to connect to audio. I wonder why there was a lag with you.
Zoom was just totally crashing. It took the long, like I sat here for 5 minutes while it glitched out, and now it's here, and I can't even like click anything without it freaking out.
Oh no. Do you know why that is? And do we have a backup plan in case we lose you here?
Backup plan is just don't click on anything Zoom. And I'm just gonna sit here. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I lost
my backup plan will be I'll call in on my phone, but everyone was able to join without the committee starting it, so that works out.
And I don't know why my image isn't on here.
Yeah, mine isn't either, even though I have the camera on, so I might pop out and come back in again. I'll be right back.
And I've never had to turn the camera on. I don't have to say start. Oh yeah, start video. Okay, that's on. Okay. I've never had to do that before.
And Jeanette's screen was black, almost like she might have a slider over her camera. We'll see if she comes back and figures that one out. If that's the case.
2.5 years later, you think we'd have all our technical stuff figured out?
No.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Tim, you're frozen. Oh.
Good.
Very good. And do you guys get my note? So it's my mom's birthday today, and she happens to be visiting, so I'm going to be a short timer on today's meeting. I'm sorry about that. I wasn't
No
sure
problem.
she was a surprise.
Okay.
Not a surprise. I wasn't sure she was going to be here this long, but she is. So
Oh, great.
Advantage
That's
of
nice.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope
Wish
you're
her
doing
happy
something fun.
birthday. Well, thanks for sitting in for the half hour. And with that said, I think, you know, as adjustments to the agenda, we might want to push the, gosh, there was something that, oh, the snow bees up to the front of the agenda. So don't let me forget that, the reimbursement. So I think
Okay.
everyone is here. So Tim, if you want to manage the meeting,
Yep.
you do so well at it.
All right, sounds good. Call the meeting to order at 5:35 p.m.
Do you want, I can do the minutes again this month. I feel like I'll jump on them whenever there's nothing going on in my life. So
Thank
if
you.
there's no objection.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's the time, Tim? Like
5:35.
okay, got it.
Adjustments to the agenda. We talked about moving the snow bees subject up. So I'll add that after. Let's move that up after it's just after the minutes. We can talk about it first.
And Tim, I think if we could just add something to the agenda, that's communicating that it's hunting season and there's some confusion about, you know, obviously not on the cow pasture, but just maybe we can communicate that there's no hunting there, but there is hunting on the parent land. So if we could just add that, it should
Okay.
be quick.
Yep. Are there any other adjustments people would like to make? All right, sounds good. First item on the agenda is our communications agreement and mission statement. Does anybody have that available to read?
I've got it. I can do that.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Oh, I've got glare here. The mission statement: to connect people to the place in ways that allow recreation, exploration, collaboration, and stewardship of the cow pasture. We affirm pursuing stewardship of the cow pasture has many dimensions, including a positive group process. Thus, we adopt the following agreements for all forms of communication: verbal, written, email, etc. 1, we value what each person has to offer. Please come prepared to participate fully. 2, all relevant ideas are welcome. Pursuit of ideas will be based on feasibility and support of the group. Only present ideas that you are willing to carry forward personally. 3, consensus agreement will be sought. Only block consensus when you cannot live with a decision going forward. And the asterisk to that is, while consensus decision-making is important to this committee, it is recognized some decisions are time-sensitive and do not lend themselves to consensus decision-making. Therefore, permission is granted to the local leader to make decisions that clearly align with the group's mission statement and management plan. When possible, consulting with other active members is advised. 4, seek first to understand and then respond with kindness and respect. 5, observe the 3 C's. Keep contributions concise, constructive, and connected to the group's purpose. Share the floor and be open to responses, even if you disagree.
I'm sorry, hang on. Okay, sorry, it took like 20 seconds for my Zoom to unmute me. Thank you, Chris. Next on the agenda is approval of our minutes from the September meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Jim seconds. Thanks. And we were going to bump snow bees up next on the agenda. So I went to the meeting on Tuesday. Greg was there as well. There wasn't any
Sorry,
discussion.
you have
And
to take a vote on, not to be a stickler, I think you have to take a vote on the minutes, no?
oh, do we? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So Jeanette made a motion to approve the minutes and Jim seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And aye. All opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Thanks, Nicholas. We're still also trying to figure that out. So next on the agenda was the snow bees discussion, and I was at the meeting on Tuesday, as was Greg, and it was approved as part of the consent agenda. There wasn't any discussion that I was aware of, and it passed. So I'm not sure if there's any questions on that, but then the other, are there any questions on that? Okay.
I do have a question. So, Nicholas, correct me if I'm wrong, but the document, the approval with the attachment will be part of the minutes from that meeting and can be found within the package of information from that council meeting, correct?
Yes, the signed version won't be on there, but the form itself was scanned as part of the agenda, and can be located there. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And the signed one is on its way to, like, the signed one was just dropped in the mail yesterday, so that should be all set as well.
Great. Thank you so much.
Quick question about that. I know in the past, with the snow bees agreement, there was also some importance of having the contact list in case anything came up. I didn't know if we still had that and if that needs to be updated at all. Maybe that's something we could just bump to Mark to confirm that all the important people that need to be contacted if any issues arise are still on there, or if that can be updated.
Thanks, Jim. I can reach out to Mark because I'll look at our list. I forget, I'm sure Steve McKenzie's name is still on it as a city contact. So I will look at our list and then reach out to Mark for verification as to whether their list is still current. Thanks for remembering that. I thought of it at one point this week, but didn't write it down.
Next, I have one that's dated 2020-2021. So if there's something newer, or if that one's the same, it's just good to know.
Yep.
Thanks, Jim. There's also a comment about the reimbursement for brush hogging. I believe last I saw, the Snow Bees is not allowed to bill because they're a nonprofit. Is that correct?
So yeah, and they were asking if we could do donation instead. I think that was their solution to it. And I don't know if we can make donations from the funds that we have. Not sure how that works.
Nicholas, do you had mentioned the city reimbursing as well, and I was going to ask Carol too if our Semperbron allotment we're able to make donations with it. I don't know that.
I think we could make a donation from Semperbron. So between Semperbron and there's a small line item for like committee expenses in the budget. I think Semperbron would probably be the cleaner option at this moment, but do they, I mean, is there like a figure that is out there? I wasn't sure if there was like an amount that we're thinking through.
It was pretty vague. At first didn't want anything, but then he said reimbursement of gas, and he said I don't know, $50, $75, which I think would, you know, barely probably cover the gas, but I don't know that. So
yeah, so we can, I mean, we could cover that under either of those accounts. I think the reason Semperbron I think is easier is because there's no, the council never created a process for using that committee budget line, so that could just take longer. But I think if we did just like even a straight up $100, like I can work with Carol on that if the committee's in agreement with that amount.
Okay, so somebody should make a motion that the Snow Bees receive a donation in the sum of $100, and that money should come out of the Cow Pasture Committee's Semper Bond account.
Was that just a motion, Chris?
Yeah, yeah.
I second Chris's motion.
Okay, motion on the floor and it was seconded. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any further
Discussion.
discussions on it? Yep. Thanks, Jeanette. Okay, hearing none. We'll take a vote on it. All in favor?
I,
Okay.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. We will make a donation to the Snow Bees for $100 for gas and other expenses for their help from the Semper Bond funds.
Nicholas, do you want me to follow up on that with
Oh,
Carol?
I'm
Or
happy to take that on. I'll see Carol in the morning. I'm happy to talk to her about that, and I can confirm to the group once that's taken care of.
great, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
And you have their contact information, I'm sure, on the form.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Next item on the agenda was Jeanette, you had wanted to talk about hunting in the cow pasture.
yeah, so am I
Not in it,
correct?
but
Yeah, am I correct that there is no hunting in the cow pasture proper, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's correct. It's city
Yeah.
property, so there's no hunting
Yeah.
allowed.
okay, so I think we might want to just clarify the line, because somebody told me today, I was telling them that I had a cow pasture meeting tonight, and they said, well, you guys should bring up the hunting in the cow pasture. And I said, are you sure that was the cow pasture and not the parent
Mhm.
property? And so I thought I would just bring it up. Maybe we could just communicate the difference between the two, and that there might be hunting in on the parent land, but not in the cow pasture, just sort of an FYI on social or wherever we put those things out.
Is the parent property in Berry City or Berry Town?
I
Both?
think it's both. Yeah. I think the section on Onward is still the city.
Okay.
So is there no hunting allowed there either
I
in city
think
limits?
it's allowed in Berry Town, I believe, but not
Oh,
in
okay.
Berry City.
Okay.
Unless the owner has permission. Apparently there's some farm on the other end of town. The chief of police said, it's a big parcel of land, and so there is hunting on that parcel with permission from the city. But just to know, it's not just the parent property. There is the parcels that the Berrytown parcels at the other and the far end where the sugar woods are, and then down below that.
Yeah.
And of concern with that, and why I would love to have the pasture property somewhat surveyed and know our boundaries, is that I've saw a deer stand in those woods this summer, which was they're supposed to take them down, and there's often gunfire over there. I think there's a shooting range, so I don't know if it's the person with the hunting stand, but I think that there's that boundary that we have to be aware of too. Those, I think there's several property owners in Berrytown that abut.
I think the simplest thing would just be reminder, there's no hunting in the cow pasture proper. Be aware of the boundaries, and just be aware that outside of, even if it feels like it's the cow pasture, it may not be the cow pasture. So I think a pretty simple communication, because we can't really communicate about the other people's property, but we should just say be aware of the boundaries, and that there's no hunting inside the boundaries.
I know in the past we've also recommended people wear orange.
Yeah.
And we used to hang signs up at the entrance. I don't think we did this year. And
I looked for that
maybe kind of late
sign.
for that, but
Yeah, actually, I looked for that sign. It was laminated, and I thought I had it, and I couldn't find it. It was a thought I had a few weeks ago. And
is it too late to hang one? I mean, that sounds like a silly question.
I think there's still a few weeks of rifle season going. I think it only started last weekend.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree. I think there's still plenty of time to get hurt. So
Nicholas, is it okay for me to reach out to Roxanne again to have a sign laminated?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Okay.
On
I-
some like neon orange paper or something.
You know
Okay.
what? I brought down Roxanne. I had some poster board last year. And I should look for it again. It was bright orange poster board that I brought down to Roxanne, or not Roxanne. Oh my gosh,
Jody,
Jody.
Mhm.
And she used the bright orange. I'll look, and I don't know if there's anything like that down at City Hall, but I'll look to see if I have some more brightly colored poster board if I can't find the sign that we used last year.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chris.
And so, Tim, you will post on social media?
Yes, I can do that.
Can someone post on Front Porch Forum? Is that advisable? That's
If
usually
you-
the
I
three.
mean, if you send me something that, we can have that posted, Roxanne can do posting there too, but we're happy to
Oh,
do
yeah.
that.
Even better than it's from on
Mhm.
high.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
And-
I'll make a post for Facebook and I'll forward it to you, Nicholas, and then,
Yeah, send me both, Facebook, Front Porch Forum, we're happy to do both.
okay.
And sorry, I have to excuse myself to make it to dinner, so sorry to bail on this first meeting. But it's good to see everyone.
You too.
Yeah.
It was good to see you too.
Happy
Thanks.
birthday to your mom.
Thank you,
Yeah.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so I'll make note at 5:51. Okay. Nicholas. Okay.
Excellent. Were there any other comments, concerns with hunting on adjacent lands?
No, thanks.
Okay, yeah, thank you for
Alright.
bringing it up. Yeah,
Yeah,
Chris.
I'll make one comment though. A prior committee member, I know that we decided to post and we have been doing that, but she pointed out that, essentially there is always a hunting season in Vermont. If it's not deer, it's bear or squirrel or crows or something. So I just thought I would point that out. Although deer season seems to be the most popular, I don't think very many months that doesn't have a hunting season.
Yeah, and probably deer season is the one where most stuff could go wrong.
Yes.
People who are using bow and arrow are a little bit more judicious in the use of those. So I think this is just the season where more people are out with guns. So it would be
More
good to,
powerful,
Yeah.
longer range
Right.
guns.
right?
Should we leave that sign there? I mean, our billboard is pretty big. It wasn't like a big sign, but it was nice and visible. I mean, is it something that we could leave around?
I don't think
that-
it's necessary.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I agree with, and I also think it's, that kiosk is getting pretty clustered. I think what I did last year is I had two of them and I think I put one on the kiosk and I kind of put it over the dog policy temporarily. And I also had one on a stake as you went in. But I felt like I had to cover up something that we normally was more applicable year round. So
I think it also gets people's attention more if it shows up every now and then. People, don't get used to seeing it and then they don't really care about it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true.
Okay, next item on the agenda was committee member resignation and recruitment.
I'll go get a paper bag.
Um,
Yeah,
So Fab, I believe you made the decision not to renew your membership to the
Yeah.
committee. Is
yeah.
there an
Mhm.
effective date on that in December or?
I think this is like my last meeting because the term finishes in December.
Mhm.
And So yeah, my hands are full. My focus is changing. I just kind of redid my focus board in my life, and I felt like I accomplished what I wanted to do, or time wise, in in my mind is to focus on other things. But I'll say, Chris, what did you call it? Friends of, right? I'm a friend of the pastor. I mean, so I'll be like spring cleaning or whatnot, like, because I can still, I have the dates. I can come as a member of the public. I can, whatever. Say, and obviously I'll be on the trails. I'm not going to pull any plants until I know for sure I'm pulling the right plants. The right invasives. I'm not super well versed in that, but definitely I'm fine with doing that, when they come back up and are identifiable. Yeah, so it is a hard decision. I've been toying with it, and it's kind of moving on into other projects that I have and stuff. So but that's how I determined it. I figured, well, I finished my term, and then so one of the things I finished, and I'd be happy to continue that. I cleaned up the bird boxes,
Oh,
so
great.
that are all clean and done and closed up for the winter. And I have it in my little calendar, and I can do it again in the spring, make sure they're nice and clean so the birds can make their nests. So I'd be happy. I think I could probably volunteer that as a member of the public, so to speak. I'd be happy to continue doing that.
That's
And,
awesome. That was on my list to
That's
ask
great.
you.
yeah. And what else? I know I was doing a special project with Tim, and it got so busy we never got around the special spot for in memoriam. So I don't know, not being an active member, if I can still help on that, but if I can, I would be happy to. Like, I don't know what the rules are, like how much you can do or not do, or but you kind one of those, you know where to find me. Like if I'm able to, if I'm allowed to, and you need help, and I can help, I'll definitely do that.
Are there any rules on how much volunteer work we're able to accept? If somebody wants to give their
Yeah, like I
time,
didn't know.
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
But
Okay.
so,
mean-
the cleaning, spring cleaning, and I can always come and if nobody can welcome, if we get the group of high school kids, that we had last time with staff, that if we get them and nobody can go, I can welcome them. I know how to do that. I can explain to them and welcome them, and I could see on the agenda and I follow what and talk to you guys, whatever focus you have, but and that sort of thing. So yeah, I suppose I mean, as a volunteer, you can ad hoc whatever needs are where you can help, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I think like
So,
legally, you just don't have a vote,
right,
but you
right,
can participate and provide feedback
as a
as much
member of
as
the
you want.
public.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're really going to miss you, Fab.
I
Oh,
agree.
thank you. I miss you guys too. It's been really, really fun and very, very, very rewarding, and I go there a lot. I go there more now that I have a little bit more time, and I truly really enjoy it. So yeah, and you guys are, it's a great group. A good group of people.
Agreed.
So yeah, it's been really fun for sure.
The one question I did have, and I don't think that this played at all in your decision, but I know that we tried really hard to keep committee members' names and contact information off the web page, and they ended up getting back on there. Did that play any role in your decision to not be on the committee? Because if it did, I think that I think the city manager should be aware of committee members' concerns about privacy.
Yeah, no, it didn't, because I felt at that point, I mean, it was done and I felt safe. I never had any issues, So I feel that that's where I wasn't, and I was actually keen also on, well, I think once we're going to really transfer and being able to have the email, I never got to debug that with Jeanette, but the password and that, but I think that to me was really reassuring. Like, I think, you know, whoever is doing the website for the city will easily be able to remove all of our emails and then just plop that one right in the middle, that, you know, if you want to contact, you can put a name even with, but I mean, you know, to have an email, I think to me was a huge accomplishment. And I mean, it was just a snafu that it came up. I mean, at some point you got to let it go, right? Because if you're going to work with the public and a public committee, you are, you know, so I felt better about it. So I think seeing all how you guys are within the community too comfortable, you know, overall, I really felt supported that way. And so when they got posted, it didn't, for some reason,
Okay.
like I just felt a whole lot better because of you guys' support and your outlook on things, and because we created an email. So I mean, that was, to me, it was a big deal. So yeah, it was quite the opposite. I was really happy with how that was accomplished. So
Okay, good.
Mhm.
I just wanted to check in on that.
yeah, no, you did something about it, and I really appreciate it.
Not to get too off topic, but I actually wouldn't mind seeing members' emails removed from the website, especially if we have our cow pasture
Yeah.
one now. I would
Yeah.
think that would, Chris, I think that would include ours as well. I don't particularly want my personal email up there if we have a cow pasture one, so.
I
I
wish
agree.
Nicholas was here to
Thanks,
hear that, because that was
Yeah.
kind of like a city, you know, actually, I think it was the mayor's, you know, I know I had conversations with Steve and kind of kept reiterating that we, you know, we had you know, that you and I, Tim, had our emails available, but we didn't want it. And it was you know, I think he just threw up his hands. I think it was the mayor's initiative to, you know, kind of have those pages the same. And so that could be a later discussion if somebody wants to add that to a future agenda item with Nicholas here. When Nicholas is in attendance, we could do that, but yeah.
Okay, I was gonna just send him an email. I can include it with that Facebook post and just kind of state our concern and make the request. And if he says, yeah, that's fine, then great, we don't have to worry about it. But
Okay.
if there is further discussion, then.
And if they insist on having them on there for you personally as the chair and co-chair, then I would recommend just making a separate Gmail account that looks like a personal account so that your regular personal account isn't up there. Easy enough to do. I know it's a pain to have to check another one, but presumably you check the cow pasture one as well. So yeah, and when that goes up, I need to remember to actually check it too. And hopefully you all would too.
Yeah, that was my thought, is we'd all just be able to check it and respond as needed, or, you know, send someone an email or a text message asking them to respond if it's more applicable to them. But
yep.
That's
Okay.
interesting. I didn't realize that every committee has everyone's emails on there.
yeah, it's relatively new.
Yeah.
You know, for my thought, if they can't have just the committee's email, the one we created, then I think if they insist on having one, I think it'd be reasonable to have one that's a City of Barry, then, you know, email for everybody. I mean, they could create.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
all-
true.
We'll all resubmit our personal emails as the cow pasture email.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
They'll love that.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to request people's personal, like I was saying, like that they wanted our address, I think, way back when, and they wanted a lot of personal information. It was really kind of creepy. So, but yeah, if they insist, and I mean, I don't think there's any cost to create an email. So if they want to create some for committee members, and they should have one with the barrycity.org, you know. Anyways, just a thought, but we have one for the committee, which is nice.
The minute notes that Tika Nicholas about personal emails and the use of a committee.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, I'll make note of it.
Back to the agenda. The other part of this
Mhm.
subject was recruitment. Is there any discussion on that?
How many people do we have to have minimum? What's the maximum?
I think that it was a recommendation, and I know that Steve always recommended 7,
Okay.
just because of just the, having a quorum for
Mhm.
voting, and he always recommended that for logistic reasons. So, but I know that there's many committees in the city with less than 7 on them.
Yeah. And
What is quorum? Is it half but minimum
think-
4?
I can look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll look it up right now. Is the city manager or the city representative, are they ex officio? They don't count toward the number?
No,
What was that, Jim?
I
They
just said,
don't.
I don't know. I was wondering
Oh.
the same thing.
I believe that's true. Steve never chimed in on any of the votes at the meetings, and I think that that's
You're
that's
right.
why.
Mhm.
It's just kind of there in an oversight position. Well, I don't know. I think if we could get other memberships, and I think that I don't know if it was just you, Tim, that I was copying, that I did reach out to Stephanie Olson with the Vermont Career Center and asked her one other time, if she would be interested in being on the committee. So haven't heard back from her. It seems like she has her hands quite full during the school year, but she would be an awesome committee member. I know that she's not a city, she doesn't reside in the city, and that was the question that she raised about a year ago when we approached her at that time. But
Mhm.
I would love to hear anyone else's ideas on whether we should, try to keep the 7 number, and ideas on who would serve well on the committee.
Danielle.
She's the chair of the River Access Task Force, which she basically does a ton of work for. I would
Okay. So
I
you
guess I'd
add-
see her because she'd be here, but she's a very busy woman.
I figured. Couldn't help myself. I had to mention.
And
Um,
actually, I was going to talk to and recommend that partners cannot be on the same committee so that we don't lose you, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, the conflict of interest.
I
Yeah.
think it's a conflict.
I have to resign from the River Access Task Force.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm sorry, Chris, but it's not an official city committee, which we actually we did that intentionally so that we wouldn't have to report minutes and be under their control or decision making.
Oh man, should we just
For a
become the Cow
task
Pasture
force.
Stewardship Task Force?
I think it's past that point.
Yeah.
Honestly, there was a decision early on to become a committee just because we felt at that time that we would have more of a presence in front of the council. And as the River Committee has demonstrated, it doesn't seem to make a difference. You guys are doing good things, and I think you get a lot of recognition.
Thanks.
So the Secretary of State's office is very vague in that it says you count the number of total positions. Okay, here we go. I'm onto something. Okay, keep talking. I'll keep finding it.
I was gonna say that 7 sounded like a good number, but I guess that might depend on what Jeanette finds.
Yeah,
Just from the purpose of like having a meeting and managing it, and you don't have a bunch of people talking over each other, and it's enough where people can add content, but it's not too many people that like you're there for longer than an hour and a half.
Yeah, and enough
Maybe.
people to do some of the work to divvy it up.
Mhm.
And we do have work. Yeah.
Mhm.
You don't want it to be too many because then it might be hard to get a quorum if people stop showing up, right?
Right.
And that was part of the meeting requirements. I think that I updated it from when we had monthly meetings. At one point, I said that they had to make, I think the committee decided on that members had to make 10 out of the 12 meetings or something like that. And then it went to every other month. But there was some criteria in the membership, becoming a committee member in regard to that. But it's true. And then just people not being informed as well was the bigger issue. When people weren't showing up, you can only capture so much in the minutes. And that was a real issue for a few years.
Yeah, so it looks like if we had a 7-member board, it looks like a quorum would probably be 5 from this calculation that I just posted in the chat. It's a little loosey-goosey, but it's for 3-member board, the quorum is 2, 5-member board, the quorum is 3.
Would it not be
Yes,
4
7.
for
I
7?
think it would be 4.
Oh, 4 for 7. Okay.
My question is, how many do you need to have if you have an even number of people? Can you have half, or do you have to have half plus 1?
I think you have
Would
to
you
have
have
more
6?
than half.
That's what I think also.
Yeah.
So it would be, if you had 6 members, you'd have to have 4 people.
Hmm.
If you had 7 members, you'd also have to have 4 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny that the examples don't include the even number.
Right. Well, maybe that's just the recommendation, is that you have an uneven number. Because
Gotcha.
then, yeah, I think the voting is probably better with uneven numbers. Because
Yes,
then you never have a tie,
true.
or you probably don't stand the chance of having a tie.
So what do we have now once Fab is gone? We have 5 plus Nicholas, which we're not sure if he's a voting member.
So we probably need to get 2 more people on the board.
It would be nice, I think, for reasons described. And I think that different people with different skill sets that are applicable, I think would be helpful as well.
Would it be worth just doing a blast on like Front Porch Forum and Facebook and just say, hey, we have some openings, and seeing who is interested?
Yeah, the city, and I haven't shared it, but it was several just really structured in when openings come available. It used to be somebody had an interest in the committee and they could just join at any point in time, but they're trying to, and I think it's Jake, the mayor again, trying to structure it so that, the open enrollment is at a certain time, and you have to write a letter, and then people who want to stay on have to write a letter expressing their interest in wanting to continue to be a committee member. It's, to me, ways to discourage committee members, but it's become a lot more structured in the format.
Yes, but I think there's also been some issues with certain members, if you've paid attention to some of the media lately. So they've tried to tighten that up a little bit so that people that aren't working against the goals of the committee end up on a committee, I think. I think if the council or Jake knew that we lost a member and we're trying to just gain members, I would think they'd probably be willing to make an exception and help us get someone on the committee, knowing that it's very unlikely that someone would join the Pasture committee to try to sabotage our work. Versus the diversity and equity committee, where that is still a pretty big issue.
Well, with that said, though, Fab, if your term is coming up at the end of December, that means that's an enrollment period that we should be jumping on. So maybe Tim, in your email to Nicholas, just to try to catch as many things as possible, you can ask, what the city is specifically going to do about.
Oh,
You froze, Chris.
And or if we could just move forward and do what we have the ability to do.
Hey, Chris, you cut out there for a second. Can you repeat that? I'm gonna reach out to Nicholas and ask what?
Because terms are expiring at the end of December, it's my understanding that it's more of a formal process and that the city might be advertising for membership, openings in certain committees and ask if they plan on doing anything like that. And even if they are, if we could be doing our own reaching out via Front Porch Forum, Facebook page, what are the restrictions for us reaching out for committee members? If any.
Seems like I remember them listing at some point a listing blast of all the openings on committees.
Yeah, that's how I saw it.
And once a year or something or another. So I think you're right. There's an enrollment probably coming up because I just remember like the term was finishing in 2023. And so, yeah, that would be, because again, I think more clout, it does sound like it's more structured, but a little bit more clout if it comes from the city and they can put it on Front Porch and social media and again, and lay out how many positions they're looking for and so on and so forth. I don't know.
Yeah, with that said, I think we've been most successful. We haven't gotten any interest in all the outreach that they have done in trying to get, I went to the labor hall and they had tables where the committees were supposed to sit. And I think word of mouth and knowing somebody is still the best way to recruit members with, just from association and knowing what people's expertise are and interests are.
I agree. Has there been any interest in the adjacent property owners to sit on the committee, being that their properties are like their parents, sisters, or has anyone ever showed interest from any neighboring properties? I was kind of curious because to me, like if you had a property that's like adjacent, you might want to be on the committee to know what's going on and to be participating because people cross back and forth and so on and so forth.
It's an interesting idea. So it sounds like Tim, you'll put that in your email to Nicholas too, are there any restrictions or do we have to follow a process and we find that out? And should we, in the meantime, kind of put our ear to the ground and see if we know somebody who might be interested and to have them look for it?
Yeah, I will definitely include that in my email to him.
That email keeps getting longer.
I know I have 3 things now. It's okay. Hey, Nicholas, you missed out on a great meeting. Here's a bunch of things that we talked about after you
Right.
left.
Here are your to-dos. Sorry.
Okay. In the essence of time, I am gonna move on to the next subject on the agenda, which is a council presentation for 2022, accomplishments in the annual report. In the past, we have made an effort to go in front of the council once a year and just give them an update on everything we did in that past year. Typically, we used information from the typically we use information that went into the annual report to present to them, and we like to include any sort of like little picture or attachment that we can just to make it interesting for the committee. I take it that we probably need to do that soon.
Is that for town meeting? Is that usually when that happens?
We used to do it. I know I went to one in November,
Oh,
and then we did it over Zoom last year.
yeah. Did we talk about the grant at that time? I feel like I've gone before the city council. Oh, maybe for us to get permission to write the grant. I think, okay, so that was that because I
Okay.
feel like I've been there talking about the grant and the timing probably didn't sync there. So, okay. Yeah, we should definitely include the grant in that as well, in that annual report.
Do we have a list, Chris? Do we have a list going out for annual report anywhere? I know you typically spearhead that.
I don't know what you mean, a list.
Just like the summary of. Every year, don't we have to supply information for the annual
Yeah.
report?
What I do is just take the previous years and rename it and edit it. So I would be willing to draft that for the next meeting.
Mhm.
Does that,
Okay. Is that is that due anytime soon or?
I'm surprised that we haven't been asked for that yet. But yeah, because they normally print out, it's the fiscal year. It's not the calendar year. So the report goes from July to July, but I believe, well, but I don't know how that gets in the city annual report because that publication goes out. And I think it's maybe a little dated by the time we submit it. But I
Yeah,
thought that city bound annual report came out around town meeting day, is what I'm thinking. And
Yeah.
and then you have to kind of go back and not include, be aware that it's from July to July. So I think we're being proactive in getting a draft going
okay,
for the next meeting.
okay. Yeah, that would be great if you could do that. And I know in the past I've taken, like, for the presentation I did, I took that and used it as my starting point just for a list of, our accomplishments. And I don't mind putting something together for that as well to go in front of the council. I can
Oh,
take
that would
that
be
on.
awesome. That would be awesome.
Um,
And I think
yeah,
that
sorry, go ahead.
I'm just thinking that hopefully we'll have something more concrete with the Ursa grant. And, maybe we could even request, once we, maybe we will be in that trajectory where we could do something at the time that they're considering the Ursa grant. It has to have council approval. So before anyone can do anything. So the timing might be appropriate so that we could go and speak to the Ursa grant at the same time that we're doing our
Okay.
annual report.
Is that something we should target for like January? It sounds like we'll have an answer by the end of the year. Okay.
That's what it's sounding like. Yeah, both Janet and I, not knowing, reached out to Sherry, I think on the same week. So it's by the end of the year is, I think. But
Okay.
that's on the updates coming up. So I'm, well,
Okay. So I don't mind coordinating the presentation. We'll target it for January and hopefully by then we'll have a big update for the Ursa grant and can either ask them for approval or approval on other items as needed.
I'm
So
happy to edit whatever you write, Chris.
excellent. Thanks. You're good.
thanks, Jeanette. I was gonna ask one of you as well, Jim or Jeanette, if you'd be comfortable joining me just to provide a more thorough update on the Ursa grant as well when we do the presentation.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks. Any other questions, comments on presentation or the annual report? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next agenda item, which is cow pasture walks and educational outreach.
Yeah, I thought it was such a good idea, Fab, doing that. And I don't know, normally I would add on to the, agenda, like goals for the upcoming year. But, we've got so much going on with the Ursa grant. I think we're going to have our hands full.
Oh, is Chris frozen up for you guys too?
I think
Oh,
she felt,
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is.
There,
Yeah.
is there, Is there still a try?
We lost you there, Chris.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody was knocking at the door. Maybe it's the ice cube tray. No, there is somebody at the door. Just give me one.
The last I heard was she was saying that we're gonna have our hands full with the Ursa stuff.
Yes, I think
I
that's
think
true.
maybe after, or such as, for instance, maybe after Green Up Day. I won't be there, but I can still volunteer,
Yeah.
as far as the box goes, after Green Up Day, or starting on Green Up Day. It's easier in the summer anyways. So, it's just like a suggestion. And, yeah.
Yeah, I think depending on how the Ursa grant stuff works out, also some of that work could also be outreach work. I think some of the work will be done by professional trail builders. There's also work at the cow pasture that can be done by volunteers. Some of it.
A good point.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
Yep.
it can potentially overlap a little bit too, I think.
Yeah, I think between that and I know we want to try to get the Central Vermont Career Center involved in the spring too. I think that's going to kind of encompass a lot of our outreach in a
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You're muted.
I muted you, Chris. Sorry.
Neighbors looking for cupcake tins. I had I think 8, 6. Took all of them. I think it was she's gonna be able to make 60 cupcakes.
Wow.
And we know where to go.
Nice.
So so what was it that I think I get the sense that there's a lot going on and then maybe we shouldn't be doing outreach. Was that the gist of what I just heard?
Yeah, I think not so much that we're not going to outreach, but that some of the other activities that we're going to be involved in is going to kind of encompass that outreach. Primarily getting volunteers involved for Ursa grant work as needed, and then reaching out to the Central Vermont Career Center as well.
And I assume we'll still do Green Up Day also.
Right.
Okay, good enough. I just didn't want that initiative to be dropped. There's so many things that we could be doing. And again, it's just, we do have a lot going on and also just the committee being so small and stretched. So, yep.
I will of course try to push Danielle to do something again. And if I can get her to do it and she has the time, I think she would be willing to. She loves nature walks, so.
I can also imagine that when the trail work is at the point where, say, they're prepping to put the bridge in or the bridge is going in, I could imagine us asking people to meet us there and just to talk about the work that's being done as part of the Ursa grant, just to kind of introduce people to how this happens and why it's the way it is and how, how whatever led up to it. So just kind of give some background on it as well. So people don't really think that this just happens magically and automatically, and I'll just give some background on it. So that could be part of that Ursa stuff too.
Yeah, that it took us
Good
3
idea.
years to get the money.
Yeah. We could invite the city council, if they want to come and see also, like in person around lunchtime.
for
or
sure.
something, especially when the weather gets better. It'll be easier to have people come out.
And when we have the money, when we actually have the money.
Yeah, right. Don't forget that.
And the tools.
Yeah.
Put some tools in people's hands. It'll be useful.
Jim, speaking of the tools, just so that I don't forget, I don't know, I would certainly love to get the polar bear out of my garage, but I don't know if in that list, so it just doesn't slip my mind that we might want to be thinking about buying a locking box or something to lock the tools up in. I had mentioned about the possibility of leaving it someplace with the city, you know, with our name on it. And the message that I got was, you make sure, I think it might have been Janet saying you need to have them locked up because stuff disappears. So I don't know. I personally wouldn't want to be keeping all those tools in my garage. And, you know, it would be great if we could have it in a place like the cemetery building, which is packed to the brim anyway, but we could argue for that if we had some kind of a lock, you know, a capability of locking those up so they don't disappear.
Okay, good idea.
Jim, is that something you could reach out to someone in the city to
To find
determine?
out about a potential storage location.
Yeah,
The cemetery building would be so convenient right there on Route 14, especially once the gates opened. Unless somebody else wants to store them at their house, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I guess I might be willing to, depending on how many we actually end up with and how much space they take up. That would probably be the most secure way to do it. But if
Yeah.
there is a safe way so that everyone can have access to them also, I can look into that.
Yeah, and certainly, you know, like if the river group was doing trail work and stuff, it would certainly be, you know, I'm sure the committee would be agreeable to loaning it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
all right. Thanks. The last thing on the agenda is just a few different updates. So yeah, let's go through them real quick. The Ursa grant.
So everyone got the email, right? I think, and reviewed it. So I think, just to be fair to Sherry, I think it's the fact that we have that land acquisition. I think out of
Mhm.
all the groups that received monies, I think we might have been the only one that's actually acquiring a piece of property, which triggered that form that they wanted to update. And she reached out to me a few times on it, and I think it just got pushed off her desk and then stuck in legal review kind of thing. So I don't know if other people received their grants and we're the only one that hasn't because of that land acquisition.
Interesting.
So I think the email is by the end of the year, but you know, we've heard this a few different times, but hopefully that'll be the case. And I have spoke with Marilyn Ford. She actually called before I could get to her to let me know that the person who was interested in the property reached out to her again. And, you know, she assured me that she was, you know, just wanted to make sure that we're still, you know, even though I had been keeping her updated, you know, I think she did it just because she thought it was kind of interesting that the person wanted to build a yurt there. And
Oh,
I'm so glad we're grabbing that property. So by the way, her husband just passed away on Friday.
Oh.
So I'm gonna send her a card. So she's been going through an awful lot with him, his health in the last few months. So, but with that said, it's a little unrelated, but she is talking to a realtor to put the other Ford parcel up for sale. So she said it hasn't been posted yet, but.
is this the one along Maplewood Avenue?
Yeah.
It's on Heaney's website.
Is
Oh,
it
is it?
on there?
Yeah, I was
So-
curious when you said that.
Is it when you drive up to the end of Maplewood, it's on the right, the above there?
Yeah, it's
Right.
that whole stretch. I think it goes
Yeah.
down several houses,
Yeah,
right up, basically right up to the hill, right?
yeah, there's a
That's
stone
trail on
wall up there. I think it goes to the stone wall.
Yeah,
It
it
does.
goes pretty
Yeah.
close to the main trail there, so.
Yeah. Oh,
And
Oh, we lost her again.
yeah, we lost her. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a big
that-
parcel.
And the hill, like I think technically, but the other access is on Johnson Avenue that people use as a, it looks like somebody's driveway now, but that's the main access, that they have a paper street going between that house on Maplewood Avenue and Johnson, that like that first house on the corner. There's a trail that goes up,
Mhm.
and that's
Yep.
where the road is supposed to go.
Hmm.
So you saw what Tim posted?
Yeah,
I'm looking at it right now. It's 00 Maplewood, it looks like, $50,000.
Fred wanted to sell it to us for 30, like when he mentioned, I asked him, I had no idea what it would go for, because he said he was going to be listing it about 8 years ago. And I said, I don't know what, and at that time he said 30,000.
Wow.
Lots of house lots up there.
It says,
on a steep hill.
It's
26
steep,
parcels.
though. 26.
it says.
Yeah, you should see I've got Fred's map. Wouldn't
Wouldn't they have to turn the paper street into like an actual road or something?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what Chris was saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Says
So
6
there would
lots-
be-
6 lots on Maplewood Ave and 20 lots on Mead Ave, a paper street that abuts Maplewood.
That
Oh,
seems like that's a lot of houses crammed into there.
You should, yeah, and they had it's all staked out. I've got
Yeah.
the survey, I've got the paperwork of it, but, yeah.
but it is
So-
on a hill and it's very rocky. There's a lot of rock bed in there. Good luck in digging that to make water access and the road, but also to bring water in there. Oof, you want to pipe that? Good luck.
Does
You know?
anybody know anybody rich who could just buy that for the
I
cow
know.
pasture?
I know.
I mean,
people do.
50,000 isn't that much.
5.5 acres.
Yeah.
And I just really wish that one of the committee members at the time, Alex Pasture, said, we should just chip in and buy it, and that way it's conserved. And I just, and I had 2 kids in college at the time.
Yeah,
Wasn't high on my list.
It's hard to do.
Yep.
Oh, man. I wonder what the taxes are too, like if it's that many lots, you know what I mean? Like even though if it's 50 acres, but if they consider it like 26 lots, is that more taxable? I mean, it is way taxable money, property, I mean.
Well, it'll be
So-
more taxable when it's developed. I'm sure that would
Yeah.
be useful to the city.
Yeah.
But
Wouldn't the ultimate goal be to buy it and then donate it to the city as part of
Yeah.
the cow pasture? And
Yeah,
then you don't
that's-
have to deal with it.
yeah, that's
Absolutely.
what I'm thinking. If I knew somebody who had 50 grand hanging around, I would ask them to just buy it and
Plus
then
it's a
donate
write-off.
back,
Yep,
but I don't. So,
me neither.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
all
that
my-
was a little
all my-
off.
all my
we have
Bitcoin
some
just
good
tanked.
tangents.
what's that, Jim?
Um,
But all my Bitcoin just tanked, so. wow.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hate it when that happens.
I'm gonna move on to the next update. Okay.
Jim, did you have an update? Were you able to get in contact with Mariah?
I reached out to her and contacted her and I haven't heard back. This time of year, they wrapped up their trail work and they tend to go off on the road in their camper and down to like Mexico and disappear for a little while. So I haven't heard from her. Every time I've contacted her, she's always been still interested and supportive of doing the work. So I'm going to give her a little more time and I'll bump her another message and see what she says.
Great, thank you.
Any further updates on the Ursa grant? Comments, questions? All right. Next update was cross training. This was with the equipment for meetings. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that was
town
for the meeting room, and I contacted Rick about 2 weeks ago, I think, to get down there and learn the equipment. And then he didn't get back to me for a week, and then last week I was incredibly busy, so we didn't make it. And when I learned that this meeting could be online. I just decided I'm going to contact him in December and try to get down there to get trained. And then Jim, I think you were going to be back up. So I figured rather than coordinating our schedules, I could just learn it and then show you at a meeting. That way we don't
That's-
both have to coordinate and go down there.
That's fine, but if you want to just let me know when it's happening, if I can
Sure.
make it, I'll go with you.
Okay, that sounds good. It'll probably be at some lunchtime. Are you back
Okay.
from the field again?
I'm back from the field, but I'm in the lab 2 to 3 days a week. So if
Okay.
it works, it works. If not, if I have a little bit of notice, I can work my schedule though too. So just keep me in the loop.
Okay, sounds good. And then I have no updates on the t-shirts while I'm up, so.
Okay.
Is
Thanks,
that,
guys.
I just did want to mention that the discussion initiated right around the time that Stephanie Olson was bringing her classes up to the cow pasture. And so, gosh, I thought that's not on the agenda. Oh, I forgot to add that to the agenda. Stephanie Olson. So, gosh, I can't believe I forgot that. Oh,
We
it's
have-
on the next. It is there. It's like never.
Yeah, I thought that's what that was.
Yeah.
Central Vermont Career Center.
I could have sworn I put it on and I was frantically looking for it. Okay. So the Central Vermont Career Center outreach, I don't know if I shared it just with Tim, but Stephanie, they were having an open house tonight, or else she would have come to the meeting, participated in this evening's meeting, but the open house was 5:30 to 7:30 at the new Career Center. So she's been straight out. I was kind of concerned because I probably emailed her and her partner that teaches that curriculum, and either of them got back to me, and I left messages. So I was like, oh my gosh, what did I say? What did we do? Why aren't they getting back in touch with us? But she finally did and said, oh yeah, it was such a positive thing, and we definitely want to come back. She did mention the triangles, working on that again, and I updated her and let her know that the snow bees did yank out a bunch of buckthorn, and that seemed like the obvious way to go rather than digging those up in the future. But let her know that there was several other invasive projects, including the burning bush, and that would have easy access from Route 14, the cemetery building, with the benefit of a bathroom as well. So I'm hoping, I'll keep in touch with her, and I'm hoping that she'll pop into our next meeting, and also keep working on her with, interest in being on the committee.
Not to like stray, because it's all related here, but are the t-shirts part of the URSA grant, or is that something we said we'd use Semper Bond funds for?
Yeah, it wasn't part
Okay.
of the URSA grant.
Because that kind of could fall under like some of the outreach too. And I'm thinking, if we're going to have potential volunteers for URSA grant work, and we're going to have the Vermont Career Center come back in the spring, getting just a large quantity of t-shirts that we can hand out to volunteers kind of
Yeah.
encompasses outreach in a way.
We hadn't put them in the URSA grant budget, so probably they wouldn't be approved for it. But if we have other funds, we could certainly, cross that into the URSA grant work if we wanted to. Sounds like the Semper funds are pretty unrestricted in what we can use them for.
They are, but with that said, and I keep emphasizing that, if we do want to do a land purchase, or if we do want to do something like that, it's nice to keep that money in our back pocket as much as it makes sense. Yeah, with that said, I think that I think it was suggested that we could sell them, and actually Scott Bascom, our neighbor, at that time I was thinking it would be the logo that we would put on the t-shirt, but it might not be that at all. But he was interested in purchasing some, if it had his artwork on it, for what that's worth, but not to say that.
Poor Chris.
Always at the most
Christopher.
inconvenient times.
Yeah, right. Oh,
At that
man.
piece of artwork.
We just missed the last sentence you said. You just froze it.
You froze
Poor
again.
Huh. Can you hear me now? Because it's,
Yep.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
just kind of like freeze for 10 seconds and then you come
couldn't you
back.
read
and-
my lips?
weren't-
Okay,
No,
your
they
screen
didn't
was
move.
frozen.
I was just saying that the logo could be used on it, but it doesn't have to be. But I know that, for example, Scott said I would love to buy some of those shirts, assuming that, you know, his artwork would be on it at some point in place. But I think other people, even with that said, I think other people would be willing to purchase shirts that could help support the donation of others to volunteers. You know, it could be 50-50.
Mhm.
Yep.
I like that idea. And when it comes down to it, Jeanette, because I know things are going to be getting busy with the Ursa grant in the spring. If you need me to take that on and start looking at options for t-shirts, I can
Okay,
definitely help out.
thank you.
Okay. I'm going to open up the floor for any other topics, questions, comments, concerns anybody has. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Meeting
Thank
is adjourned at 6:46.
Wow, good job.
We're
We
gonna
did
miss you,
it.
Fab.
I
Bye,
know.
Fab.
Let's get some
See you
Bye.
on
Thank you
walks.
so much.
Bye.
See you
Done.
around.
Bye. You're
Bye.
welcome. Welcome. Bye.
Fab, what'd you find in the birdhouses?
Oh, the amazing nest. I felt bad. Next time, I think I should keep them. Seriously, so I could show the kids or people who I could keep them in my garage, you know, in a Ziploc
Cool.
to show people. They were this, I mean, they were this thick, so 4 to 6 inches thick of twigs and branches and feathers and
Wow.
pretty solid. Like I took it out like in one chunk, you know, like
Yeah.
it was, it felt so bad. I mean, I threw it in the woods, but I mean, it was, so all three, there's 3 of them, right? I don't think there's any other, no mice, all bird feathers. And that's what they had been lived in. They were in good shape. And there was lots and lots of twigs in there. They're beautiful nests. And of course it was square, right? Because they were really packed. I was surprised how packed they were. I don't know how they do it, but it's all woven together.
Yeah.
I was really impressed. Like I said, I was heartbroken to take it out, but I get it. And so I didn't put any chemicals, anything like that, but I got just paper towels, you know, and I just kind of wiped them inside and then I shut them.
Do you have any pictures of the nests?
I know. I was like, there was the second of like, what should I do with these? I was I didn't.
Yeah, I'm
They
just
look
curious to know, because you can sometimes ID the bird by the nest, so I'd
Oh.
be curious to know what's living in there.
They were like really small twigs. All 3 of them, they looked like they would have been the size of like that a chickadee or something would have been, you know, or not hatched, like some, because they were like little branches and little
Yeah.
feathers too.
Very cool.
So feathers maybe an inch long at the most, but down, you know, like really fuzzy. I was really impressed. I couldn't believe how packed it was. It was like pretty impressive.
Cool.
But when I do it in the spring, I'll definitely, and plus it'd be nice to, right, and it'd be nice to compare spring and fall, because they might be different birds in the winter, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it'll be
I
like,
think that's what we were
Mice.
warned, that the mice might use them in the winter. So in the
Mm.
spring, be more careful because there might be a mouse nest in
yeah.
in there in the spring.
Yeah, they don't scare me, but yeah, I'll check for sure. One question I had though, when are they opening? I saw that the gays